In 2004, luxury islands were still mostly fantasy. Billionaires bought them, sure, but the infrastructure didn't exist. No reliable power, no internet that worked, no supply chains that could deliver what wealth expected. Then the technology caught up. Satellite internet, desalination plants, solar arrays that actually functioned in salt air. And suddenly, owning your own island went from a logistical nightmare to just another asset class. Today, there are more private islands being developed than at any point in history. And the gap between the cheapest way in and the top is wider than most people realize. One person rents a beach hut for $300 a night. Another owns the entire atoll. Same ocean, same sunset, completely different realities. Before I start, I already know someone's going to mention Necker Island. Someone else is going to say the Maldives. We'll get there. Level 1, the entry point, resort private islands and day rentals. This is where most people first experience island exclusivity, and it's designed to make you feel like you've escaped when you're still very much in the system. Resort private islands are commercially operated properties marketed as private but shared with other guests. Places like Petit Saint Vincent in the Grenadines or Camelaim Key in the Bahamas. $800 to $2,000 per night. You get a villa, beach access, staff service, and the illusion of isolation. The resort handles everything. You show up, they feed you, you leave. Day rentals take it further. Small keys near established tourism hubs rented by the day. $2,000 to $8,000 for your group to have an island for 8 hours. Lunch included. Boat transfer included. Instagram content guaranteed. Who actually books this? The couple celebrating an anniversary who wants one perfect day they can frame. Influencer who needs the backdrop but not the mortgage. The corporate retreat organizer who found a line item in the budget labeled Team Morale and decided to spend it somewhere memorable. They all arrive by boat, walk the beach, take the photos, and think, this is it. This is what it feels like to own an island. Then the boat comes back at 4 p.m. and everyone leaves. The exclusivity is real for 6 hours. The control is not. And control is the entire product from Level 2 onward. Level 2, whole island resort rentals. This is where island exclusivity actually begins. You don't rent a room. You rent the entire property. The staff works for you. The schedule bends to you. The other guests don't exist because there are no other guests. Islands like Cayo, Espanto in Belize or Gladden Private Island. 7 villas, full buyout required. $15,000 to $50,000 per night depending on season and headcount. But the experience is fundamentally different from Level 1 because you control the environment. Meals when you want them. Activities when you're ready. No shared spaces, no breakfast buffet next to honeymooners from Ohio. Who's here? The extended family reunion where someone successful foots the bill and becomes a hero for a week. The executive team offsite where the CEO wanted real privacy for the succession conversation. The wedding party that did the math and realized an island buyout for 3 nights costs the same as a Ritz ballroom plus hotel blocks plus coordination headaches. This is the level where someone sees the invoice, winces, then realizes they'll remember this trip longer than they'll remember the money. Not cheap, but the value calculation is clearer than most people think. And that realization is what pulls people deeper into island ownership. Level 3, leasehold private islands. This is where island ownership stops feeling like a vacation splurge and starts operating as a real estate play with upside. Leasehold means you don't own the land. You lease it long-term from a government, often 50 to 99 years, and you own whatever you build on it. Islands in the Bahamas, Belize, and parts of the Philippines operate this way. Lease cost runs $20,000 to $100,000 annually depending on size and location. Build cost is separate. A modest compound with solar, water systems, and guest structures runs $2 million to $8 million. You control access. You design the layout. You decide if there's a dock, a helipad, or neither, but you're still operating within someone else's legal framework. Permits, environmental regulations, import restrictions. It's yours, but only kind of. Who's here? The entrepreneur who exited a company and wants a project that isn't a startup. The family office that looked at Aspen real estate prices and decided beach property in a tax-friendly jurisdiction made more sense. The investor who plans to build, use it personally for a decade, then lease it as a luxury rental to offset costs. This is the level where ownership starts to pencil as an asset, not just an expense. You're not buying a vacation. You're buying optionality. And most people at this level will tell you the same thing. They didn't buy an island because they wanted to flex. They bought it because they wanted a place their kids would fight over inheriting. Level 4, freehold private islands, turnkey or developed. This is the first time the island itself is the asset, not the lease. Freehold means you own it outright. The land, the water rights, the subsurface. It's yours the way a house in the suburbs is yours, except it's surrounded by ocean and comes with its own customs clearance issues. Turnkey islands are fully developed, ready to occupy. Islands like Rond Island in the Grenadines listed at $100 million or Lisbon Island in the Bahamas at $35 million. Full infrastructure, multiple residences, staff quarters, power generation, water systems. You wire the money, you get the keys, you're done. Undeveloped freehold is cheaper up front but requires years of capital deployment. A 50-acre island in the Bahamas or Belize runs $5 million to $30 million depending on location and accessibility. Then you spend another $10 million to $50 million building it into something livable. Who owns this? The hedge fund manager who flies 200 hours a year on a jet he doesn't own and wanted one asset that nobody else touches. The tech executive who sold equity at the top and wanted a compound where the Wi-Fi works but the paparazzi don't. The family that realized their vacation homes in 3 countries were costing $2 million a year in carrying costs and staff, and consolidating to one private island actually simplified the logistics. At this level, the island isn't competing with a resort. It's competing with a portfolio of properties and winning. Below this level, you visit islands. At this level, you govern one. Level 5, the final level, private atolls and sovereign territory ambitions. This isn't island ownership. This is geography with a legal structure. Private atolls are rare. An atoll is a ring of coral islands surrounding a lagoon. Owning one means owning not just land, but an entire marine ecosystem. The Brando in French Polynesia operates on Teshgaroa Atoll, which Marlon Brando purchased in 1967. Today it's a resort, but the underlying asset is the atoll itself. Lokala Island in Fiji, owned by Red Bull co-founder Dietrich Mateskitz's estate, is a 3,500-acre private island that functions as a self-contained nation. It has its own organic farm, sustainable forestry program, and renewable energy grid. It's not a vacation home. It's a closed-loop ecosystem that happens to have villas. Then there's the truly strange tier, seasteading projects and micronation attempts. People buying islands with the stated goal of creating new governance structures outside existing national frameworks. Satoshi Island in Vanuatu, marketed as a crypto-native island community. Prospero in Honduras, a private charter city with its own legal system. These projects sit in the gray zone between real estate development and political experiment. Who's here? You won't find them on the Forbes list, not because they're not wealthy enough, but because they've structured their affairs so wealth isn't the public-facing identifier. The UHNW individual who realizes that owning assets is fine, but owning jurisdiction is better. The ideological libertarian with 9 figures who wants to prove a point about governance. The dynasty wealth family that thinks in centuries, not quarters, and views an island as the beginning of something longer than a tax strategy. A billionaire on a freehold island for 2 weeks is isolated. The same billionaire on a private atoll for 2 weeks is sovereign. That distinction matters to almost no one, but for those few, no amount of luxury real estate will ever be enough, and they will never understand why anyone would own property they don't control entirely. Level 6 doesn't exist yet, but it's coming. Floating islands, underwater habitats, jurisdictional arbitrage taken to its logical extreme. The people at Level 5 are already funding the research. Private islands started as a retreat for people who couldn't afford to be bothered. They became an asset class for people who could afford anything. And somewhere between the $300 resort night and the $100 million atoll, the product stopped being the beach. The person renting the day island and the person owning the atoll are both doing the same thing. They're buying separation. One's buying it for 6 hours, the other's buying it permanently. Every other asset class sells you property. Private islands sell you distance from everyone else. The island was never the point. What you do with the isolation is, if this was useful, subscribe. I break down how things actually work, not how the brochure describes them. See you in the next one.